Screencast 30, Getting Data from an XML Cloud Service, Part 2. My previous screencast, we created this simple report. We bound it to a data method that created some fake data, and we showed it in the report. Now that we've got the binding out of the way, and we sort of debugged that, we're going to pull data from the actual service. And I would always recommend you follow this pattern whenever you go to an external data source. Create your dataset binding first, then pull. It will simplify your life. And that's why data methods are an important technique to master. So, in my last screencast, we went to the colorlovers.com API, and there's this top palettes. We're going to go fetch this and use it in our business logic instead of using this fake data. So let's try it first. That's the URL. Okay, now we're going to create a new XML document. For xdoc equals new system.xml.link.x document. And I believe it's xdoc.load or parse. I forgot how this actually works. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's actually a static method. This new link XML API is a bit new to me as well. Oh, there we go. It's a static method. It's load, and then the URL or URI. There we go. And then the root, I'll just do this to simplify life, is this xdoc.root. And that should correspond to this node right here that says palettes. Okay. Now before I proceed, I just want to make sure nothing is wrong. So I'll compile and preview the report. Actually, I want to save everything because I changed business logic. It's very important. You always have to save and when you change business logic. Otherwise, your changes are not counted for. Okay, so nothing happened crazy there. Let's get all the palettes. So root L dot elements, and it's palette. I'll go ahead and just save that as a use system.link up here, because I'm going to use some link syntax. There we go. So, and let's verify that palette is in fact palette. Okay. So before we pull the data out of each palette, let's just see how many we're getting. So instead of adding those rows one by one, I'm going to add that row for each palette. For each var palette element in palettes, we'll just add a row. So now, if we see no rows, we know there's a problem. If we see many rows, then we know we've done the right thing. And one by one, we'll fix the data sets up. Okay. Go back to preview. Okay, we're getting quite a few rows now. Now let's start getting the actual data. So if we look at the schema here, we'll notice that there's an ID first. Let's get the ID. Var ID element equals palette element dot element. I believe it's lowercase ID, and we want value. So let's add that there. Build, save and build always when I create data and modify data methods. Back to preview. And now you see the ID numbers have changed. Okay. Next, let's get the remaining pieces, which are, first we'll start off with the username and the title. Okay, so it's a user with a uppercase N. Be very careful with casing here. And it's title with a just lowercase title. And this really shouldn't be called L. I should, because it's not an element, it's just the value, the string. So this I want as title. Title, and then ID, sorry, username, then ID. Preview the report. Okay, great. We're seeing the correct names now. Got some interesting interesting names there. Some weird characters some people are using. Now let's get the actual colors. Again, we'll need to look at the XML. The colors are in a node called colors, and each one is called hex. Okay? So, there's a node called colors, or an element. Colors L equals pal L element colors. And then we want the hex elements. Var hexes equals colors L dot elements. Notice now it's elements hex, and I'm going to make that a list, okay, because I want to index them. So those are the elements themselves, and the actual colors are hex values equals hex elements, and we're going to convert this by using some link syntax. So we'll get each L dot value, which is a string. See, and what we're going to do to make our life a little simpler, that won't be obvious why until later, is I'm going to append a hash mark in front of that value to list. Okay, so now we'll just do hex values. And because it's going to be a little complicated, let's make sure the report runs as it is. I don't want any errors creeping up in this demo. Okay, good. Now let's get the values. Hex values 0. So this is interesting. You should notice one thing. I realize something as I'm doing this. Obviously, you can't dynamically add columns, right? I have to ahead of time know all the columns I'm going to have in these data sets. Sorry, I'm just trying to paste these other values. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I believe we're safe that all of these palettes have exactly 5 colors. I don't think any have any more or less. At least not that I've seen. So we shouldn't get any weird exceptions. To preview. Okay. Now all the colors are there. Okay, pretty cool, huh? Next step. This, we're going to get a little fun here. We're going to go back to the colors in the data region, and we're going to change that style, and I'm going to get rid of the background color. Let's go ahead and do that. When we preview the report, they'll all look, blank again, which is fine. Now, we're going to be a little dynamic. This is something that, if you're used to the old Dynamics AX, X++ MorphX reporting, this was not something you'd be able to do. At least not that I know of, or not very easily. We're going to change the color of the cell based on its value. Now, conveniently, the value is an actual color in the right format. That's why I added that hash mark in front of the value. Let's try it out. Right here. Now, we see colors here. How can I set an expression? Because that's how I have to do this, right? I have to use expressions. But these just yield colors. Well, little trick. You could type it in directly if you want. You could say here equals something. But instead, you can also click on web here. I know, not very obvious. And then you'll see expression. So let's try the first one. We'll do fields. Color 1. Is that good? Yay, look at that. You get the colors. Now, likewise, we'll go here. Actually, I'll show you now. Copy that value. I'll select all these. Go to background color and paste. Now, if I preview, everyone will have the same color. Whoops. I mistakenly I did something a bit odd there. Let's try to correct it one by one. Let's remove those values. Obviously the system got a bit confused. Go back to what we had working. Go back to color 2, just individually. And let's see if that worked. There we go. Let's do it one at a time. I think something happened a bit odd when I hit paste and I had a multi-selection going on. Now everything should have the same color. Okay, now we're going to fix it up so that they have the correct color. So this says color 1, we'll switch this to color 2. And this one to color 3. And this one to color 4. And this one to color 5. And now let's preview. Look at that. We're getting, dynamically, all the top palettes from colorlovers.com and showing that in an SSRS report. And this is a very powerful technique. As you can see, not only does it let you get data from other data sources, but also, you remember how I transformed the data in as I got it? I added the hash marks. I showed you can process the data. I could have used that data method to filter data if I wanted to. And finally, I showed you a very interesting technique in SSRS, which is formatting at runtime the value, the elements in the report. This is something that is a really powerful feature that not many people are very familiar with, but it's very, very useful. Okay, so that's it for this screencast, and we're going to continue with this color lovers demo a little bit more in the next screencast to show you some other interesting features relating to layout and arranging the report in interesting ways. Okay, see you then.